welcome back to Jenny's Math Corner. This week our special guest is my daughter Rachel. She's working from home as well, and she's going to help me show you some new math games this week. We're going to learn some new ways to play math games with your family for family game night. We're going to use Dominoes this week, and we're going to learn some different games that you can use to help your child develop number sense and then practice their addition, subtraction, multiplication, and place value skills. The first thing that we're going to play is a matching game. For this game, we're going to choose dominoes that have a total number of dots from 2 to 12. We're going to get two sets of dominoes that both have totals from 2 to 12. We're going to separate them, and then we're going to play just like we did memory last week. So we're going to take turns, and we're going to flip over one domino at a time and see if they match. So Rachel's going to go first. She's going to flip over one domino from this side, one domino from this side, and she's going to see if the total number of dots matches.
Okay, that total is 2. And that total is 9? No, 8. 8. So it does not match.
All right, so she's going to flip her dominoes back over, and then it would be my turn. And we choose 8. And I think the 8 was here, 8 and 8, so they match, so I get to take those. And then we'll just keep taking turns until all the dominoes are used up. And then at the end of the game, count them up, and whoever has the most dominoes wins the game. All right, the next way that we can play this is by keeping one set flipped over upside down, and then turning the other set facing up, and then you want to just spread those out where everybody can see them. And then you're going to take these, and your child will just flip one over, count the total. So Rachel, flip one over.
10.
She has 10, so then she just has to find the matching domino.
I think it's this one.
Okay, yep, that's 10. And then to take it one step further, we can use these two dominoes to make number bonds or number sentences. So we'll do a number bond with one of them. So we'll use the one that has the 10 on one side and 0 on the other. And we can just do a quick number bond. You can draw circles if you'd like, or you can just do a quick number bond this way. And she showed that her total is 10. One side of the domino had 10 and one had 0. And so 10 plus 0 equals 10, right? You can also write number sentences. And so on the back, Rachel showed us that 6 plus 4 equals 10. And you can also flip it around and show that 4 plus 6 equals 10. And that teaches your child that addition can be done in any order, which is also called the associative property if you want to throw some vocabulary in there. Okay, the last game that we're going to play with this set of dominoes is called Make It Match. So for this game, we took both of our sets of dominoes from 2 to 10, laid them all out face up, and then I just made a set of number cards going from 2 to 20. So we're going to mix them up, we're going to lay them here on the table, and we're going to take turns drawing a number and then finding dominoes that match. It may be one domino, it may be 2 dominoes, it could even be 3 dominoes, whatever we need to do to make it match. All right, Rachel's going to start.
So I got 14. So this is 3, and this is 11, and that equals 14.
Okay, now I'm going to draw the next card. I have 5, so I'm going to choose the one that just is 5 by itself.
Okay. This is 10, so I have 6, and I have 4, which is 10.
Okay, and we're just going to keep playing until we run out of dominoes. So now that all the dominoes are used, we're going to count our dominoes and see who has the most. All right, Rachel has more dominoes, so Rachel's the winner. Good job, Rachel.
Thanks.
Okay, the next thing we're going to practice is looking at numbers and thinking about the values of the numbers, and we're going to practice with bigger numbers this time. So we're going to use the dominoes that we have with totals up to 24. And I started with a set of dominoes that go up to 15 on each side, and I just took out the 13s, all the 13s, 14s, and 15s. So in this set of dominoes, we have everything from zeros all the way up to 12s, and it could go as high as 12 on each side, so it goes up to 24 total. All right, and so one activity you can do is just practice picking up a domino. Have your child pick out a domino. Rachel, pick a domino. And then she's just going to take that number and she's going to recognize that 9 plus 9 equals 18. And so she's going to make herself a quick number bond by putting the total at the top and then putting the two parts at the bottom. All right, you can also change it up a little bit, and the next domino she picks, you can have her write number sentences.
I'm getting all doubles.
She's got another double, so this time she has a 7 and a 7. So she can write
7 plus 7 equals 14.
Okay, and then when you pick, let's pick one more so that we can try to find one maybe that's not a double.
Go.
Okay, and then like I said before, we can use this to reinforce that we can add numbers in any order and we get the same answer. So what are your two number sentences that you can write?
9 plus 6 equals 15, and 6 plus 9 also equals 15.
Okay, and if you want to make it a little bit harder, I'm going to throw something else at her. I'm going to ask her to write me two subtraction sentences using the same domino.
So 15 minus 6 equals 9, and 15 minus 9 equals 6.
All right, so you can practice your fact families by recognizing that with each set of 3 numbers, you can have 2 addition sentences and 2 subtraction sentences. All right, so that's one way to practice with your dominoes. We can also take this and make it into a little bit more of a game by playing tic-tac-toe with it. So I just made a simple tic-tac-toe board with my binder that has the sheet protector over it, and I just slid it inside. When we do that, we can write on it with a dry erase marker. All right, so I made us a tic-tac-toe board, and we're going to take turns choosing a domino. Rachel, can you hand me my dry erase board, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And when we choose our number, we're going to either make a number sentence or a number bond out of it, and we can either decide ahead of time what we want to do, or we can just decide each time what we want to do to change it up. All right, Rachel, do you want to go first?
Sure. Oh, that's a big one. So I got 11 plus 12. So she's a number bond.
So she's going to make her number bond or math sentence, whichever one she wants to do.
So I made a number bond.
Okay.
So 11 and 12 is 23.
Okay, now that she has the answer right, now she can take her domino and she can place it on the tic-tac-toe board, and then we just have to decide, instead of X's and O's, we can do face up and face down, and then whoever gets 3 in a row would be the winner. Okay, the other game we can play with this same set of dominoes is kind of a version of bingo. So we're using the same dominoes that go from 0 up to a total of 24. And we have them all flipped over upside down. And then what I did was I just made a blank bingo board and I slid it into my binder again. And then if you have hopefully more than one person playing, you can just make a couple of these, and then each person can write the numbers wherever they want them. So you're going to want them to write the numbers from 1 to 24. And if you do a 5x5 bingo board with a free space, then you have exactly 24 open squares. Once they have their numbers written down on their bingo board, then you'll just take turns choosing a domino from the pile, and you'll add up the total number of dots on the domino, and then you'll be able to use that domino to mark your spot on your bingo card. So I didn't make one for myself, but Rachel's going to demonstrate with her bingo board how to mark your places. So go ahead and pick your number.
That is 13. So here we go.
All right. So she marked on her bingo board that spot 13, and then if I had one, I would choose a number, and then I would mark, if this is 10 and 10 is 20, then I would mark 20 on my board, and then she would choose another one.
That is also 13.
Okay, so if you choose a number that you already have, then you have to flip it back over, and then the next person has a turn. The reason you want to try to have 2 of each number is so that each of you has an equal chance of winning. And then you'll just continue until somebody has 5 in a row, either across, vertical, or diagonal. Another game you can play with the same set of dominoes is just called a sorting game. And so you want to keep your dominoes that go from 0 up to a total of 24. And we just divided them equally. So we both have the same number, and then we're just going to take turns and we're going to flip over one domino at a time and sort it in a way that we determine before the game starts. So one example is that we could decide that the sorting rule is even or odd. So when we each flip over our domino, we have to decide, is it an even number or is it an odd number? This is a total of 20, and that's even, so I'm going to put that in an even pile.
This is a total of 17. That's odd, so I'm going to put it in the odd pile.
Okay. And then 9 plus 9 is 18. That's even.
9 plus 1 is 10, so that's even.
9 plus 10 is 19. That's odd, so I'm going to put that in an odd pile. And you also might want to make yourself an even and odd card before you start. If you set these out ahead of time, then you'll remember which pile is which. So Rachel has her even and odd pile, I have my even and odd pile, and then how to determine the winner is you want to just get a coin. You're going to flip a coin and decide ahead of time that heads might be even and tails might be odd, and then you're only going to count the dominoes that are in that stack, and that's how you figure out the winner. So even's going to be heads and odd is going to be tails. And we got tails, so that means we're only going to count our odd dominoes, and that will be who the winner is. I have 11 odd.
And we have 8.
All right, so I'm the winner. All right, and that's how you can just change it up. And that way you don't know ahead of time who's going to win. It's kind of a surprise based on the coin flip. Another example that you can do with the sorting game is that you can decide on a cutoff number, like maybe 10, and you can, as you draw the card, if it's less than 10, you put it in one pile, more than 10 in another pile. You can really sort it however you want, depending on the skill level and what dominoes you have in the pile. All right, we can also use these same set of dominoes to play a guessing game, and depending on how old your child is, you may want to just have 10 dominoes. They may be able to handle a few more. Basically what we're going to do is your child is going to have their dominoes face up, and then I'm going to look at her numbers and I'm going to pick one of the dominoes without telling her which one I'm choosing, and then I'm going to give her some clues about what the secret domino is. All right, and then when I give each clue, she's going to be able to eliminate the dominoes that don't match with that clue. All right, here's the first clue. I'm looking at a domino that has a total of more than 10.
It's not that.
So she's going to take away all the ones that are not more than 10.
That's exactly 10.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, the next clue. This domino has an even number of dots on both sides. Okay, so now she has 3 left. This domino has one side that has 2 more than the other side. Okay, and the last clue, this domino, both sides are less than 10. All right, what's your number? What's the secret domino?
Secret domino is 14.
Very good. All right, so you can also reverse the roles, and you can spread the dominoes out in front of yourself, and then you can have your child give clues for a secret domino as well. Okay, the next game that we're going to teach you how to play is called What Number Am I? So this is like a version of Heads Up. And you're going to decide on either addition or multiplication before you start. But we're going to use our same sets of dominoes as we did in the matching and the memory, but we can also include zeros and ones with this game. So we're going to practice adding and we're going to practice multiplying. This is also a good chance for you to reinforce and help your child practice math vocabulary. So when we're playing with addition, then we want to use, instead of saying the answer or the total, we can use the word sum, which means the answer when you're adding numbers together. So we're going to practice that way first. The way that you play is by picking up a domino from your stack. You want to have an even number on both sides. And we're each going to pick up a domino and we're going to hold it over our head so that we cannot see our own number, but we can see the number of our opponent. And then our mystery camera person is going to give us the sum of our two numbers, and then we have to guess what our number is.
The sum is 17.
So I'm 8.
Okay, so Rachel got that first. 8 plus 9 is 17, and so she knew that her number must be 8 if my answer was 9 and the sum was 17. So she would win that round. And then you would just keep playing until all your dominoes are used and then count up to see who has the most at the end. We can also play using multiplication. So playing this way, your third person or your caller has to give you the answer when you multiply. And so we're going to call that number the product because that's what we call the number, the answer when you multiply. All right, ready?
Product is 8.
4.
And I made a mistake. I said Rachel's number instead of guessing what my number should be. So Rachel knew that her number was 4 because mine is 2 and the product was 8. So Rachel wins that game. The last game that we're going to show you is how to play war using your dominoes. Now, when you're using dominoes to play war, we're going to stick with the numbers that are from 0 to 12 again, so a total of 24. So 0 to 12 on each side. There are a lot of ways to play, and basically the same rules as when you play war with cards. You each pick a domino, and then you see who has the higher answer, and then the person with the higher domino gets to win that round. They get to keep both dominoes. So there's several different ways that you can play. You can choose an operation ahead of time. The first way we're going to play is just basic war. So we're going to each flip over one domino. Okay, my total is 9 and 4 is 13.
10 and 5 is 15.
All right, so she would get to keep those. And then play again. All right, Rachel has more that time. If you turn over a domino and your numbers are the same, then you would just lay another one down, and then the person with the higher number that time would win all the dominoes for that round. All right, you can also change it up, and you can decide ahead of time that every time you draw, you're going to subtract. So this time, let's subtract. When you subtract, you always want to make sure that you subtract the larger number minus the smaller number. So I have 5 and 2, so my answer is going to be 3.
I have 8 and 8, so mine would be 0.
All right, so 3 is bigger than 0, so then I would win those. All right, so that's how you play using subtraction. You can also play using multiplication. Division doesn't really work because you don't always get an even answer, but you can do it with multiplication. So this time, when we draw our domino, we're going to multiply the two sides. 9 times 2 is 18.
10 times 11 is 110.
Okay, so Rachel is going to keep those two. And so that's how you can play with different operations. You can also just put all your dominoes together in the middle, and you can flip one domino over and decide on your operation ahead of time, and whoever gets the answer first is the winner. So let's practice with adding. Okay? 4. All right, that was a tie. Let's do another one. Ready?
7. I mean, no. 11. 11.
It is 11, right? All right, 11 is right. She got it first, and so she wins those. All right, let's practice with subtraction. This time we're going to subtract the two sides. Do you want to flip it over?
Sure. 1.
Okay, yes, the answer is 1, so she got that faster. Rachel's too quick for me. All right, and then we can also do it with multiplication. So this time we're going to multiply the two sides together. 121.
Sure.
All right, so you can just kind of change it up, different operations, doing 2 dominoes or 1 domino, and then whoever has the most dominoes at the end is the winner. Another way you can play this is by turning over a domino, and then instead of adding or subtracting or multiplying the two sides, you can make it into a 2-digit number by having that number on the left be the tens place and then the number on the right be the ones place. So this number would be 53.
My number would be 38.
Okay, and then what you can do with this is you can turn it either way and see which way you get a bigger number. So mine could either be 35 or 53. I want to use 53 because that's bigger.
I want to use 83 because that's bigger.
All right, so then Rachel would win that round. And for this game, you want to make sure that you're only using dominoes that are from 0 to 9 on each side. We can also look at our 2-digit number and we can round it to the nearest 10. All right, so this number is 44. So 44 rounds down to 40. And so I have 40 when I round.
Mine's 54, which would round down to 50.
All right, and 50 is more than 40, so Rachel would win that round as well. Rachel would win that round as well. Another variation of that game is to choose 2 dominoes, and then I'm going to add them together. So after I have my 2 dominoes, I'm going to turn them both so I have the biggest number possible. So this one has a 7 and a 7, so obviously it's the same. It's going to be 77. And then this one I can either choose 52 or 25. 52 is bigger, and so I'm going to use 52. And then I'm going to take my two-digit numbers and I'm going to add them together. Rachel, what numbers do you have?
So I have 55 and I have 83.
All right, and so we're both going to take our numbers and we're going to add them together. All right, my sum is 129.
My sum is 138.
Right, and Rachel's sum was bigger, so she would win the dominoes for that round. All right, you can also play this by subtracting. So we want to choose 2 dominoes again. Now that I have my 2 dominoes, I'm going to make sure I start with the biggest number. I want to start with the highest number possible. So I'm going to use 75. And then in order to get the biggest answer, I actually want my bottom number to be the smallest number possible. I want to take less away so that I end up with a bigger number. So instead of 41, I'm going to move it around this way and I'm going to use 14. So I'm going to take 75 minus 14. Rachel, what do you have?
I have 98 minus 49.
Okay, and then we're both going to subtract our numbers. I got 61. Rachel needs a minute. She's doing some regrouping.
49.
All right, and 61 is more than 49, so I would win that round. All right, for our last game of war, we're going to take it to the next level. And Mom and Dad, if you haven't had Common Core math yet, we're going to blow your mind a little bit. So we're going to take 1 domino at a time, still playing war, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. So I have, in my piles, I have dominoes that have on one side a number less than 10, and then on the other side more than 10. And I'll explain why in just a second. So what I'm going to do is take my number and I'm going to say that this smaller side is going to be my tens place, and the side that has more than 10 is going to be my ones place. And I'm using this line as my divider between my tens place and my ones place. So I am going to write that on my board. I'm going to just abbreviate T for tens and O for ones. And I'm just going to make a quick place value chart. I have 5 tens, and I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15 ones. Now I can't keep 15 in the ones place, so I'm going to have to do some regrouping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate out my tens and my ones from my 15. I have 10 and 5. and that makes 15. Okay, this is giving me another group of 10. So I'm going to take this group of 10 and I'm going to bring it over here. That gives me one more group of 10. So now instead of having 5 10s, I have 6 10s. I have 5 1s over here. So my number is 65. All right, so my number is 65. Now, if breaking it apart is a little bit too difficult for your child at this stage, then Rachel's going to show you another way to do it with her number. I have 65.
Okay, so I have 6 on this side and I have 13 on this side. So I basically just recreated that domino. So I put 6 dots on this side in my tens place, 13 dots on that side in the ones place. And I will count out 10 over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I will circle those, move them over here. That gives me one more 10. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over here. I have 3 over here. So my number is 73.
All right, so Rachel has 73. I have 65, so Rachel won that round. It's a little more complicated, but it really gets your kids thinking and it helps them with that, build that number sense. And I know it seems complicated now, but when they get ready to do their addition and subtraction, multiplication with regrouping, being able to have these this understanding in their head really, really helps them out. So that's the end of Jenny's Math Corner for today. Thanks for playing with us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.